Hey everyone, Avros here, back again with the Final Fantasy XII game challenge, back with Final Fantasy V, and seeing as we just got some new jobs from the Fire Crystal, we'll cover those off first. So starting off with the Ninja, only 5 levels for this one, starts off with the ability Smoke, allows him to throw down a smoke bomb and escape combat, which is the same as the Thief's Flee command. Next up is Image, create 2 illusory images that absorb physical attacks, basically makes it so you can't be hit by physical attacks as long as those are up. First Strike is a support ability that makes it so that you're more likely to be the first person to strike in combat. Throw lets you toss weapons or items. You can throw Scrolls and Shuriken to do lots of damage. Scrolls typically do a elemental effect. And the last one, 450 ABP there to learn Dual Wield, which allows you to equip a weapon in both hands, not including bows and harps. Really strong ability because it allows you to do full damage strikes with both weapons, so you'll see a lot of that later on in the game when we get the Ninja class mastered. Next up is the Beastmaster. Looks a bit like a caster class, but as you can see, the -3 magic power doesn't actually use any magic at all. Only 4 abilities for that one, pretty basic class. The first ability it gets is Calm, which, as it says there, calms magic beasts, only it's completely bugged, and the only enemy type it doesn't work on is magic beasts, so it's very confusing. The second one, Control, allows you to take control of a monster in combat, and you get full control of its actions and abilities, and can use that to learn blue magic along with other things. The third ability there is Equip Whips, allows you to use the whips on other classes other than Freelancer. Not super useful. Whips allow you to do full damage from the back row, so they can be very handy. And the last one there, Catch, at level 4, allows you to capture a weakened monster. It has to be below 25% health to be captured. You don't get any EXP or items from them, but they can be released after capture to do special attacks. A lot of monsters just have fight, but some of them do have stronger abilities. And the last class we got here is the Geomancer. This is a magic class with 24 magic power. Only 3 abilities on this one, and none of them super useful. I didn't use the Geomancer at all in this playthrough. The first one, Gaia, does different attacks based on what area you're in. So if you're in grasslands, it does certain attacks. If you're in a cave, it does a different set of attacks. What strength it is depends on the character level, not the job level. The other 2 abilities are both support abilities. Find Pits allows you to see holes in the floor, which in later dungeons you fall through and go to lower level floors. And Light Step allows you to avoid damage from working on spikes or lava or other stuff like that. That can just be negated by casting the White Mage Float spell, so altogether fairly useless ability that needs 175 AUP invested in the class. So the wall there you can see is exploded since the castle blew up and the fire crystal's gone. So we go onto the fire-powered ship, and Cid's not too happy with himself. He considers this to all be his fault for developing the machines that were amplifying the powers of the crystals, and the party's a bit upset that he's so depressed, so we're going to do something about it. Inside Karnak here, you can see Queen Karnak freaking out about the darkness. She's been completely delirious since she was found on the fire-powered ship, probably to do with the possession she went through. So, Library of the Ancients was mentioned by someone back in town, saying there was lunatics here that were telling them to turn off the thing to the fire crystal, and they weren't listening. So, we've gone there to see what's going on, and some of these scholars here have said that Mid is Cid's grandson who's here, and the stacks downstairs are overrun with monsters, and no one knows where Mid is, so you can probably take a guess and figure out that he's downstairs in the stacks somewhere, and we're going to have to go and rescue him. And this scholar here lets you know that Cid found a book in the library that had some information about the crystals being more powerful in the past, and that that's where Cid got the idea to build the machines that amplify them. And this guy lets us know about Biblios, who was at the Wind Shrine and has been sealed in the underground in the library to take away his evil from the world. And these 2 guys on the roof are engaging in some Fahrenheit tactics here, and they're talking about burning books, and they don't know which ones to burn, but Ifrit used to know, and Ifrit's not playing nice with them anymore, so yeah, they don't know what to do. So we talk to this first book here, and as you can see, the monsters in this keep changing their page number as you defeat them. So the first one there was a page 32, this is a page 64. So we're flipping through the book and removing the evil from it to make this book safe, and we've defeated the book and helped these goals out, and that one disappears. The other two, the Traveler's Journal there talks about a staff given to the King of Tycoon, and the Blue Mage's Journey talks about a spell Arrow, which we already know, and another spell, which we won't learn until much later, called Level 5 Death. The staff mentioned in that first book is the healing staff we got back in Tycoon, and about halfway through the dungeon here, you run into this bookshelf that laughs at you and says no one can go past it. But if you go over here up this ladder, there's a secret passageway behind these books, near where this bookshelf is, and you think, oh, that's how you get around behind it. But no, there's a book down here hidden on the floor that when you open it, inside it is Ifrit, and he lets you know only those who can withstand his flames will be granted the privilege of summoning him. So we're fighting Ifrit, 3000 HP, not too much to worry about here. He's weak to water and ice attacks, and heals himself from fire, and completely immune to poison, because he lives in a book, so I guess he doesn't have veins for the poison to go through. And only a few immunities there, not really typed to being a summon, so we fight Ifrit here. He's a fire-type summon, like Shiva was an ice-type, and he loves to use a whole bunch of fire-type attacks here, but like I said, weak to ice, so there's not too much to worry about in the battle against Ifrit, especially with Shiva on our side here from Galuf. So, you know, let's see with the Diamond Dust. It's going to do quite a lot of damage, 798 there, so that takes good care of a good chunk of Ifrit's health. And Lena's got her two-handed Spellblade on now, with Blizzara on it, so you'll notice 1100 damage there. Good chunk of his health when he's only got 3000, so not too much to sort of chip away at here. Fight's incredibly straightforward, keep yourself healed and do ice damage, and Ifrit goes down pretty quick. So using Shiva here and Blizzara Spellblade with the two-handed support skill from the Knight makes this actually really quick. So yep, Ifrit says enough, we've proven our worth, so we get use of his powers. So here's our next summon we've acquired. A lot of them you get from beating them in battle. So, we pick up the book, and we know how to summon Ifrit. So, using Ifrit's power here, we are able to get past that bookshelf and get down to the bottom of the library, where we find this fellow reading books, and Lena guesses that it must be Mid, and Galuf has a weird feeling about this place, and he's right. So the monster was mentioned earlier, Biblios, lives in a book down in the bottom of the stacks, 3600 health, and weak against fire and holy attacks, absorbs pretty much every other element, and immune to a whole bunch of status immunities there, and has the magic beast type, in case that's relevant for anything you're using, and likes to slow your party with web, so Lena's going to be much slower in this battle with web on her, which makes her less useful overall, and also loves to cast Protect on himself, severely limiting how much physical damage you can actually do to him. Trying to beat Biblios without any elemental damage is very difficult, so we're just going to lay into him with fire. So he's going to turn Galuf unfortunately into a toad there, so he can't cast anything. Use the Maiden's Kiss on him to get him back from being a toad, and unfortunately unable to use Ifrit this round. So Avros doing basically nothing in this combat with his Moonring Blade there, but we don't really have any other option for him, so he's just going to keep chipping away and doing little minor pieces of damage while we rely on our heavy hitters here. So bringing out Ifrit, and 966 damage there from Ifrit on Biblios, so makes short work of him having Ifrit, and Lena's got a Fire up on her two-handed Spellblade again, so missing there unfortunately, which makes this a little awkward. So just keeping the party healed up with Faris, taking advantage of the Red Mage's ability to cast both white and black magic there, able to cast Fire early on, and now use that Cura to keep everyone healed up. And Biblios tried to hit with his most annoying ability there, Drain, which heals him and deals damage to a target, and has now hit Avros there with Discord as well, lowering his level by half, meaning his effective combat level is now half of what it was, so he does even less damage now. So resorting to a steal there and getting a Mallet, which reverses the mini status, and hitting with Magic Hammer there on Faris as well, halving a mana. So we need to finish this up nice and quick, and seeing as he didn't hit with the Drain, this last Ifrit will be enough to take him out. And Biblios is unhappy to be defeated by Ifrit, and mentions that the seal, we've started breaking it, but very soon the Master Seal will be blown wide open. And this is the first real mention in the game of any greater evil behind these actions or anything like that, other than the possession of Queen Karnak on the fire-powered ship. So it's starting to look like something must have been happening with the crystals, apart from them just being overdrawn of their power. So having gotten rid of Biblios there, we're free to talk to Mid, and he tells us not to bother him while he was reading, and he's been engrossed the whole time and didn't even realize he was in danger, which the party's just baffled by. And Galuf says, "Gotta be kidding." So we tell Mid we need to get out of here, and he lets us know that he's got a shortcut, which is convenient. I don't want to run back through this entire dungeon with Mid in tow, so we have a hole in the bookshelf, and we pop out back up on the first floor, dislodging that scholar, who, when we talked to him earlier, said he guessed it was that book, so he must have been looking for the secret passageway downstairs. And the skulls are all happy for us having found Mid and bringing him to safety. And he finally realizes we were sent to save him, and still has no idea that we saved him from Biblios, but he found a book that he was looking for down there, so shows us that one, and lets him know that he's found a method to rebuild the fire-powered ship, which could be very useful. A ship that doesn't need wind to sail would be very handy for our adventure. So the party tells him that Sid's kind of given up on inventing and is being a sad sack. So Mid takes it upon himself to go and change his grandfather's mind, grabs the book, and runs off. So I guess we're going to go and chase him back to Karnak. So heading back to Karnak now. Here's Sid in the top of the inn, and yeah, he's just moping and not having a good time at all with what's happened, and calls himself a worthless old lump, and the party gets depressed. And Mid shows up and figures the best way to break his grandfather out of it is to beat the crap out of him. And so just starts laying into Sid and tells him he's a silly old fool and to never give up. So I guess Mid talking about John Cena's motto there of never give up. And basically says if he's messed up, just needs to start over from the start. So that's all it takes. Sid's back to normal. All it took was just being told, hey, maybe if you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. In this case, it might actually be with the crystals breaking, but we're helping out at least. We got to do something about it. So they talk about repairing the fire-powered ship. Mid lets him know that he's found a strategy to do it, and says, yeah, it could work. And off they go after Mid, and they all have a nod to each other, and grabs the book. And off they go to check out the fire-powered ship, and Sid thanks us with a nod. We go to the fire-powered ship here, and Mid starts just breaking stuff, tells us to get out of the way. Rude boy that we're dealing with here, and Sid apologizes for him, says he's all fired up, and we just need to sit tight while they fix the ship. And so we get sent to the quarters below deck to wait out the repairs to the ship. Only something's up with Galuf here, and the entire party notices it and asks him what's wrong, and his head's hurting. And the screen flashing there to show us that it's not going too well for him, but he feels like he can remember something. And the interesting part about this is the thing that seems to be triggering his memories is Sid being referred to as grandfather by Mid there. And remembers a girl named Kryle here, who, if you're paying attention, looks familiar. Back when we were fighting the Siren, way back near the start of the game, she summoned a blonde-haired girl to distract Galuf, and he couldn't remember who it was. That's the same girl, and Mid and Kryle have something in common, which is they like beating up old people, I guess, because Kryle also just laying into Galuf there for no reason and calling him a silly old fool. And I guess elder abuse reminds Galuf of Kryle, so a bit weird. And the party asks him if he remembers something, and he's on the verge of a memory, but he remembers finally that he's not from here. He's from his own world and warped here in a meteorite because he sealed an evil on this planet 30 years ago, the evil warlock Exdeath. And that's why he's here, is to deal with Exdeath. So there's Galuf and 3 other people, a werewolf, some guy with weird blue stuff on his head, and a guy in a purple cloak. And they've decided to seal Exdeath here, in this forest with the 4 standing stones. And that's where Exdeath is sealed, on Avros and Friends' world. So, yeah, Galuf came here once 30 years ago, and if all 4 crystals are destroyed, then Exdeath's seal will be broken. So that's what Biblios was talking about, was the return of Exdeath, so I guess he's one of Exdeath's minions. Galuf can't remember everything, but he knows we need to stop Exdeath. So we've got our new goal. We don't know where the Earth Crystal is still. From what Sid's been saying, he only made 3 machines, so we know it's not being amplified by anything Sid's done, so maybe we've got more time to find it. But we know for sure we need to find the Earth Crystal, and that's our next major goal here. So, the ship having been repaired, Mid and Sid have decided to just sleep up on deck. And waking up Sid, he says he slept like a top. Not a saying I've ever heard before. He wakes up Mid, who says the same thing, and then says he sounds like an old man. I don't know if anyone's heard that saying, let me know, but I sure as hell haven't. And Mid says he's awesome because they repaired the ship and now it sails without the wind, and we can use it now to go and find the Earth Crystal. And while we go on our adventure, Mid and Sid are going to head back to the Library of the Ancients to look for any further information that could be of relevance to us, and if we need anything, just to stop by. So that's about it for this episode. We're going to use our ship now to sail around and find the Earth Crystal. There's a few other things that I want to cover first before we go straight to where the Earth Crystal is, so we'll go and cover off a few side quest things in the next episode, and start our quest to find the Earth Crystal after that. So thank you for watching, and catch you next time.